happy Sunday, happy Mother's Day, and happy Mother's Day to the mothers here. So we decided to mix it up a little bit today. And instead of having airline guests, I guess we do have airline guests, we have our mothers on. So that's exciting. There were some tech challenges to get here, but actually it was pretty smooth, all things considered. I thought it would be much worse and that we'd be way late because of this. But
I'm also confident saying there were 1,000% fewer technical challenges than if we were doing a Father's Day edition of this.
Probably.
So my mother is here, I guess, on the left. I think it's on the left. So that is my mom,
your mom
Barbara.
is underneath you.
Hello.
Underneath, okay.
Yeah.
So, and then we have Tiffany's mother, Michelle. So do you guys want to introduce yourselves, where you're from, what, I don't know. What?
Sure. Hi.
Go ahead.
I'm Tiff's mom. I'm in Arizona right now, Scottsdale. It's going to be probably about 107, but right now it's very pleasant outside.
Scottsdale, that's okay. Well, we have a Scottsdale story in a little bit because that's a good transition a second. And Mom, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Barbara. I'm originally from Germany, but I moved to this beautiful country a lot of years ago and had my 3 boys here. I love this country. I love the people. I love all the destinations you can visit here. It's a wonderful, wonderful country. Yeah, happy Mother's Day to all of you who attend to give forward to your moms, okay?
And I'm sure we have some mothers on as well, so that's watching. So the funny story, maybe should we start with Michelle? The last time I saw you was, or I guess the only time I met you was it the only time? I think it was.
It was the second. It was the first time I met you. Yeah.
So I don't know if
have there
anybody
been
else.
other times?
Yes. And we had dinner with him once with Brian, remember? And then we went up to that beautiful hotel and had the cocktails with the sunset and everything.
Yeah, anyway. That was all the same week, though, I'm pretty sure.
It was a long week. But so we were going to, anybody who's watched, was it Gordon Ramsay Kitchen Nightmares, is it? Is that the show?
Oh,
Maybe
yeah.
Remember Amy's Baking Company in, I think it's Scottsdale, which is, like the most catastrophic dining thing he has ever had. And it was absolutely, so we couldn't help but go there because it was so bad, and both of the owners are completely nuts and are delusional and think their food is amazing and don't take any feedback. So of course we went there. And it was every bit as good as you'd think. Tiffany can maybe drop in the link to, there was a blog post about it even.
I can do that unless I explode my computer. We'll
so Michelle went with us. Who else? Oh yeah, we had one other person, I think, Mr. And it was, what was your thought on the food?
Me?
Yes.
Well, you guys were there first, and I was working late just down the street. So
right. Ben is a good enough friend that he didn't intend to meet my mother for the first time at Amy's Baking Company.
Right.
It just worked out that way.
I think it was about 8 o'clock at night or something, and you called me to see if I was available, and I'm like, I'm just right down the street. So I came over and met you, and I think I ordered a French onion soup, and the guy brought it to me, and I took one sip of it, and I tried really hard not to let you know that it tasted just like dishwater. It was
oh my God,
horrible. But no, I was trying to be a good guest, and so I ate all the cheese on the top and talking and sharing whatever leftovers you guys had, And then we all decided to leave, and you and your friend Ben, I don't remember his name.
Okay, yep.
You went out first, and Tiffany and I walked out, and then I stopped by the bakery counter, and they had some beautiful cupcakes there. And I was just looking at them, and I think she had some that were spray painted. I don't know what that's called, but you kind of spray them a little bit. Anyway, I had never seen Amy before, and I didn't know anything about Amy. Anyway, this blonde woman came up on the other side of the counter, and her eyes, I swear, they were like, can you see me? These eyes. And she's looking at me like, what do you want? And I said, well, I'm just curious as to what might be inside these beautiful cupcakes. And she said, well, there's lemon cream and vanilla cream and chocolate cream and whatever you want. I'm like, okay, thank you. And Tiffany and I turned around to walk out the door. And as soon as we walked out the door, I turned to Tiff. I said, what the hell was that? Who is that person?
What a dining experience. And then also Sammy, he spent most of the time telling us how, they're completely misunderstood and the food is amazing, right? And we're like,
I didn't want to tell him about how horrible the soup was at all.
you don't want to say anything because he also is known to call the police on people who complain about the food. So
I'm so glad I didn't say anything. But later, since I live here, then I kept an eye on the place. And there was a time, in that program, they said that he spends most of his time taking the food back to the kitchen and just throwing it in the garbage because he's afraid to tell his wife how horrible it is. And I guess somebody had a problem or a complaint, and he took a knife to him. And the guy swears that it was just a pen, but no, it was a knife. He went after one of the customers with a knife. So, yeah, they're not there.
Good dining experience.
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
So, Mom, one of our readers is pointing out that at Amy's Baking Company, those cakes were so good looking because they were brought in from another bakery.
Yeah, she pretends she bakes them all, but as it turns out, they are store-bought.
She's just getting them at Fry's.
There's not with her eyes. There's no way she could see enough to do those.
Yeah.
Oh, she was great.
That was a fun experience. So that was memorable. So let's talk about a little bit of past travel since we're not traveling right now and we're at home and thinking of positive travel experiences. So, Mom, what has been your favorite trip ever or your most memorable trip? And then separately, maybe favorite airline that you've flown?
Oh, my goodness. That is a really hard one to answer because you took me on so many good trips. But I would still say the first one, which always comes back to my mind, is New Zealand. I think that was the first trip, the first big trip you invited me to. You were not even in college, remember?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Right. And we stayed at the Holiday Inn in Queenstown. Right?
Crown Plaza.
We didn't have a laptop, or the hotels didn't have Wi-Fi at that time so often, right?
That's true.
So I took you in little cafes for half an hour here, half an hour there, that you can, work on your computer for a little bit. That was so fun.
She means like writing flyer talk. So.
Sorry, what?
By work on computer, you really mean like me, being mean to people on flyer talk or something.
Yeah. Whatever you did, baby, I don't know. But you always begged me, can I go for another half an hour? And I said, sure. And then we took the trip from the south to the North Island. And we saw so much. We even met a flyer talker, remember?
In Wellington.
Yeah. He showed us around, what was the name of that city again?
Wellington.
Wellington.
Yes.
Right. That was another favorite city. But I think Queenstown was my favorite. Yeah.
That was a great trip. That goes back 13 years.
13 years ago. Wow.
That was back when a round-trip business class award ticket to New Zealand cost 90,000 miles with a stopover. So
right.
It was very cheap back then. So, and your favorite flight you've taken?
I would say Etihad. Yeah.
Emirates, maybe. The Dallas.
Have you
flown
Where did
Etihad?
they have the shower?
Emirates.
Emirates.
I did as well, but I think
Emirates. Right. And they also have my favorite flight attendant there.
Yes. That was great.
I think that was an amazing experience. Yeah. I absolutely loved it. And I felt like I cannot sleep a minute because it was so overwhelming, everything. The food was delicious. The service was outstanding. Yeah.
We got pretty drunk on that, both of the flights, I think, actually.
Oh, yeah. I took pictures. Somebody took a picture of me when I was standing behind the bar.
Yes.
And it went on my Facebook. And everybody thought I had like a bar in my kitchen. They had no idea it was on the airplane.
I mean, that's almost more believable. Michelle, you've also flown Emirates first class, right?
Oh, that was my Tiffany, again, has taken me on some wonderful, wonderful trips, but that was probably my first where I started crying experience when she led me in that separate entrance for the first class people, because we started up in Dallas, I think it was Dallas Airport.
Mm-hmm.
And we had our own entrance to get into the plane. That alone was cool. And then I just stood there and I literally had tears in my eyes. It was so beautiful. And the lady with the champagne and
the lemon.
Pardon me?
And the lemon.
What?
And the lemons.
Oh, yes.
The lemons.
The first thing I said to the stewardess, or the flight attendant, I'm sorry, was the brand of her lipstick, because it was just so perfect. But you want me to tell them about the lemon, Tiffany?
I mean, I can tell it too. It was just my favorite part of that. It was my favorite part of that. You know, you're on Emirates and it's so fancy, and there's the champagne and there's the dates and there's the pouring the Arabic coffee, you know, and it's just ridiculous. And they have this, 27-page menu with all the things. And, I order caviar for both of us. And
I had that before.
Right. We're sitting there and we're having caviar and champagne. And my mom looks at it. She's like, I can't believe they serve this with almost an entire lemon. That's so expensive.
Well, I was squeezing it into my ice water, and you're like, what are you doing, Mom? I don't want to waste it.
That's definitely the expensive part of the caviar.
That is funny. Well,
After the caviar, yeah.
And what's your favorite destination or trip aside from the flight?
Oh, gosh. That trip was fantastic. But Tiffany did take me on a great trip for my 60th birthday. I told her, she asked where I wanted to go, anywhere. And I said I wanted to see where Beethoven had been buried. And so she planned an entire trip to Germany and all over. And then literally on my birthday, we were sitting in the opera house in Vienna.
Wow.
Watching an opera. And that was the opera house. Beethoven had done an opera there, and he'd actually lived in that opera house years ago. And so that was really fun, spending my birthday there. And then, of course, the hotel I don't remember, was that the Park Hyatt in Vienna?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, gosh. They did a big, huge spread with, again, champagne and a cake and everything. It was fantastic.
That's a great hotel.
Yeah, they did an amazing job, because it was hey, if we can't check in early, that's fine, but we have the opera tonight. So, can we at least shower in the gym or something like that? And they were like, no, we have one room ready. You can get ready there. And they brought up an entire cart with charcuterie and cake and champagne. It was ridiculous. It was really nice.
Amazing.
I love this question. Yeah, you can ask it then. But
is it the credit card one?
Oh, no. Which one?
Go ahead. You first.
No, let's do credit cards. Let's start with that.
Okay. Are your parents very knowledgeable about credit cards like you two, or do you teach them? So why don't you both share your credit card, what your current situation is?
I really only work with my American Express credit line, which is a Bonvoy card.
Tiffany, come on. Tiffany. Really?
Well, it works out nicely with her Bonvoy timeshare. So the short answer, Brandon, is like, I stay out of it. It's not. If there's like the way I run things with my family is, if there's big expenses, I'm happy to put them on my card and just be like, we have points to do whatever it is we need to do. But I have a hard enough time managing my situation.
If I have a huge purchase, then a lot of times I will work with Tiffany and just say, hey, if you want the points, then you can take me somewhere. And she says, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mom, what's your...
Yeah, I use the Chase Sapphire card. I think I have altogether 6 or 7 cards, but that's the only one at the moment I use. So I think it gives me the most benefits at the time, until you recommend another card to me.
I've been a very bad son in this regard, because she has repeatedly asked me, she's like, which credit card should I get next? Which credit card what should I get? And I'm just like, we'll talk about it tomorrow. It's just like, I'm sorry. So we actually... I
know you're busy, baby.
We actually need to do that.
I can make this easy, Barbara. A Citi double cash. Just put everything on it and move on with your day.
It's
Okay.
That's funny.
It's time to update things on that front for sure. So I'm
Right.
sorry I have failed you in that regard. Often those of us who give advice about credit cards online, we're actually really bad sometimes at taking care of our own families when it comes to maximizing this stuff. So
Right.
It's something we could definitely be better about. We'll apply for some cards, and we got to do something different than the Bonvoy card for Michelle, because that's not
Thank you.
Post SPGMX, I'm not sure that's really cutting it anymore, but we will see. So sorry, Tiffany, you were going to ask another question from someone?
No. I've got another question, but sort of on the same thought, because somebody else had asked Ben what our siblings think about miles and points. And so I think you guys can see, we spend a lot of time talking about miles and points to the rest of the world and not so much with our families. I think we would both tell our siblings, just use a cashback card. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Stop asking
I
questions.
just give Benjamin authority. He has to check it all out.
I have to say,
That's his part.
the tricky thing, Mom, with planning travel with you is, so I view points as a currency. So I always do math when it comes to, I say, okay, it's I'd rather pay cash, for example, than redeeming points, because I say this points currency is worth this much, and it works out whatever way. But you feel very guilty if I pay for anything. But if I use points, you're fine. So often what I end up having to do is I end up having to lie to you and tell you, oh, I use points for this. Because as long as I tell you I use points.
I thought you would never lie to me.
The point of the lie is that you don't ever tell me when you're lying.
Well, now you screwed it up.
I guess I screwed it up. Okay. In fairness, I have tried to be honest. So what I've done is I have often redeemed points in suboptimal ways, because I realize it's better that you're happy and that you're not guilty about something than feeling, bad about it. So it's worth it. But the point is, points are currency as well, and we'll make everything work out. But it is fun.
I have miles too, baby. You can use also my miles.
We will.
And he does, Barbara. He does.
We're all.
He does. Good.
He does. He's very good about that.
Good.
So Barbara, this is a fun question for you. People who have been reading the blog for a long time know that Ben really got started flying when he was very young, and you would, take him to the airport and drop him off and pick him up at the airport at the end of the weekend.
Right.
How did you feel about that?
Not good.
Because other parents have questions.
Yeah. I honestly did not feel good about it, but Benjamin was always different. I have 3 boys. He was different than any other child I have known, And my kids went to the German school, so a lot of birthday parties were celebrated at my house, because I love to do children's birthday parties, and the moms didn't like them. So I really got around. But Benjamin was just different, and he was so mature at a young age. And I know how much passion he had. We were in control all the time, right? We were in touch. I knew exactly where he was. He really changed planes only all the time, right? But I felt bad. I was thinking, my goodness, how can he do that with school? It's too much. He's gone all weekend. And it worked out good for him. Thanks goodness. Thanks goodness.
When were you okay with it versus when did you go from being worried? I guess you still.
I think after you did it for a year or so, and I saw how much you were into it, the whole thing with, collecting miles. You only know the bargain. You remember all the soda boxes? They had numbers on them.
My Cocoa World. I used to be very big into My Cocoa
You
World.
put all these little numbers. You even went in the neighborhood and asked the neighbors, if you have soda bottles, can you give them to me? Because they have a code, I want to put it in. So, and for me, it was probably everybody know I lost my oldest son. And I think you live once. You don't live forever, And with Benjamin being so into it and so mature, eventually I got peace. I was thinking, okay, it's all fine. He's doing the right thing, and something good will come out of it. And it did. Unbelievable, baby. Yeah. I have to say one more thing, because when you finished high school, you only applied for one college, because you really didn't want to go to college, right? You did it for me because your mom wants you to go to college. Benjamin said, Mom, all the bright, famous guys, they never went to college. So why do I have to go? And after you finished, you told me I only learned something out of 2 classes. Everything else was a waste. Remember that?
I was not a huge fan of school, so that was
no. So he was just different, and I think another child is his age, you probably wouldn't do it. But with Benjamin, yes.
And it might be even worth going back. As a kid, we would always go every summer to Frankfurt, to Germany.
Right.
And we would fly back in the day Condor from Tampa to Frankfurt. They flew nonstop, and remember they still had a smoking section.
Oh boy, don't talk about that. I still feel embarrassed.
No, and well, you know what? This was in many ways what inspired it, because we would fly to Germany. And I think you were trying to be respectful, so you only sat us in the first row of the smoker section because, you're like, the smoke goes back. You think smoke goes a certain way. And but
at the beginning, baby, but I got smarter. Remember, at the end, I was sitting all the way in the front, not first class or business, but, in the front rows, and I went back if I had the urge to smoke one.
and that was the reality of everybody else's. You sit in the first row of the smoker section. What everybody does, they come from the non-smoker section. They stand in the aisle and they smoke. They smoke in the first row, in the aisle by the first row of the smoker section. And you're like, thanks. But anyway, that in many ways that's good, because that is what sort of inspired Miles and Points. Because then instead of flying Condor and economy, eventually we flew Lufthansa first class with a connection to get to Germany. And that was more enjoyable. So that was one way. So that's anyway.
Right. Well,
what other questions do we have here?
People are wondering, how do you guys feel now about the travel that we do, or when we text you and say that we're in some country that you have to Google?
Oh, gosh. You did that not too long ago, Tiffany. And, of course, I can't remember where you were. But you were walking around. You and Ben had gone, and you were walking.
We were in Romania, and I woke up early, very early, at like 4:30 in the morning, and decided to go for a walk, and felt like you would feel better about me going for a walk at 4:30 in the morning in a foreign country if you were on the phone. So I called.
Yes, and I don't remember what town, and it was fun because I got to look up the town and see a little bit of it while you were walking.
Yeah, I think I talked to you when we were in, where'd we fly into, Ben?
Cluj.
In Cluj, and then in the other one with all the church bells.
I know which one you mean, but I forgot the name.
Yeah.
It was a great trip. I forgot all the names of everything, though, so.
I think it was Cluj. Is that how you say it?
Cluj? Yeah, Cluj was the first one, but I called you the next day, too, when we were in
wherever.
Some other Scrabble tile. There's just so many letters in all of those cities. So, and I am bad at pronouncing things anyway.
That's amazing.
Mom, where have I last been that scared you? Or are you scared if you don't know where?
I always follow where you are. And I usually listen to the news too. So when you told me you take a trip to Asia not too long ago, I was scared. But you changed your mind anyway, thank goodness.
I rewrote it.
I remember you called me once because you said, Mom, I don't think I'm ever going to fly again. You had a really bad experience.
It's many years ago.
Many years ago.
Yep.
And I think it took you some time to get over that, right?
Yeah, for I think about a year, I was actually scared of flying, and I was sweating every time I flew and shaking, and it was terrifying.
Right.
But now I'm on the completely other end of that spectrum again. But yeah, that was a scary time. I will say, I think with moms, one of the things that's funny is, for example, when I started traveling, there's always a fear that something that sounds unfamiliar is scary, and I think that's true for everybody. And I think that's why it's important to travel in general, is when you get to go places and you see firsthand that most people are a lot more similar than you think, and most places are actually safe. There's, what you think places are and then what they actually are. So I think I've kind of enjoyed going to more random places from an American perspective, and I think those have largely scared you because, for example, Uzbekistan, you think you don't know anything about Uzbekistan, so it sounds scary. And
that's true. I always said, watch out, look behind you. Right.
So it's
because
fun.
You don't have the experience in life yet. I mean, you were young when you started traveling, baby.
I wasn't going to Uzbekistan when I was 14, but and that's not like scary or anything. But
that's pretty young on your own.
Scary.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
Where do you two want to? Where would you most? Oh, Freya.
Well, you guys can keep talking, but Nick just got home, and so Freya is falling out.
Where are you both most excited to travel? If you could travel anywhere when this is all over, where would you travel?
I would still love to go to Egypt and see the pyramids, but I know you guys have been there. Tiffany's been there a couple times.
There's always good reasons to go to Egypt. There's great airfare out of Egypt. Oh, Mom, you went to Egypt?
Yeah.
Not with me.
I like it a lot. But I did prefer, even though it's a completely different country, is Israel. I went 2 years in a row, 1 year Egypt and 1 year Israel. And Israel gave me so much more.
Mm-hmm.
It depends what you're looking for. I mean, the pyramids are nice. Will you be able to walk all the way up? I'm not sure. I mean, I couldn't do it. Right. But it's beautiful to see. Yeah.
And where would you most like to go?
Me? Oh, my goodness. It's so funny. I think I have seen more of America than I have seen of Europe. And for me, it's always still a dream to go to Europe. On the other hand, I have my family. I still have a lot of girlfriends there. I have my boys in this country, but besides that, everybody is in Germany. Not everybody. I mean, cousins. My mom was one of 13, so I have a lot of cousins and uncles, and so.
If you could go any place, forget family, forget the U.S. If you could go anywhere in the world, and nothing were a concern, not travel time or anything, where would you go? Out of curiosity.
If you could teleport there. And I guess you could take, if you could take family with you. Because most people want to travel to see their family right now.
Right. It's a tough one because I have seen the most parts I wanted to see. I always want to go to India. This was on my list. I don't know if this will still happen. Maybe. Maybe. Right.
I'd like to point out, as of a few years ago, she wanted to go specifically backpacking in India, which I feel like is
I know. That was a few years ago, baby. That was a few years ago. India probably would be something I would be interested in.
Russia would be fun.
Russia. Where in Russia, Mom?
Yeah. I have been to St. Petersburg, which is beautiful. Yeah. The architecture is just amazing.
And that's what Mom, she likes, like architecture and museums and history and music when she travels.
That is huge in Moscow, probably in Moscow too, or St. Petersburg.
You love St. Petersburg because it's probably similar a little bit to Vienna in terms of the art and the architecture, sort of.
It's almost artificial. St. Petersburg, the way, honestly, the
like it's too pretty.
It's so pretty. It's like a postcard. Yeah, it's really beautiful. Do I want to go back again? Probably not. You know what I mean?
You've seen it.
Right, I've seen it. There are other parts.
I was going to make one comment when you were talking about guys being safe, you kids being safe. And this last trip that I went on with Tiff, she took us down to Vietnam and Cambodia and Laos about a year ago. And I just sat back and
you're cutting out, Mom.
Maybe Barb.
I watched how she ordered the drivers at the airport. You come off the plane and they're waiting right there for her in the car, and they take her right to the airport. And, because a lot of people are thinking that she's getting a hailing taxi and walking to the hotel. Anyway, I watched her, and she's very, very intelligent for safety. obviously that didn't come through.
Yeah, can you say
No.
that again, Mom? We had, I think, some just connection blurbs for a second.
Oh, I was just talking about how intelligent you are with your planning, so that when you get off a plane in a foreign country, one of the first things that you'll do is go and get your SIM card for that country. So that you
Yeah,
can
I had to in Vietnam because my phone didn't work in Vietnam. In most countries it works. There's like 180 countries where my phone just works, but Vietnam wasn't one of them.
And then you always had a driver waiting to pick us up. We didn't have to, get a taxi for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, that's a little bit different. I make some accommodations when I'm traveling with family just to make life easier. Like we learned that when we took my mother-in-law to Tokyo, that there's actually just no reason to expect your parents to do carry-on only and public transportation in a foreign country where they can't. I know you have, but like it's not actually it's not a necessary thing to do. And Tokyo is one thing, Vietnam is different. Like I'm not going to put my mom on a motorbike and be like, here you go, this is your taxi. It's just not a thing. So Barbara, I muted you, so you have to unmute yourself when you're.
There was some background noise for you, I think.
Noise.
So there should be a button that says unmute.
Or a little picture of a microphone.
Yeah, just push the microphone button.
Where's the microphone button?
It's at the bottom of your screen. If you drag your mouse down to the bottom of the screen, then you can unmute.
She completely unmuted herself.
We'll add her back in when she gets back.
That's all right. Could have been me.
Yeah, these things happen.
I'm surprised it took that long. So that was.
Okay, so here's a question that somebody had asked. That everyone else's moms say that they really worry about missing flights. So how do you feel about that, Mom? Like, if you're like, wait, our flight is in, 4 hours. Why haven't we left for the airport yet? Or, that seems like a very short connection.
I think I pressed the wrong button. I'm back on. Why do you hear me now?
We can. Perfect.
Yes, perfect.
You can?
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
I normally would panic about the flights, and that's probably one of the things that drives you nuts, Tiffany. I really try to not show if I'm panicked about something or worried about something. I pretty much try and keep my mouth shut so that you don't know that I'm concerned, because I know that you know what you're doing. Sometimes I don't want to just follow like a sheep. I want to contribute and help, but then I'm not helping or contributing at all. So I just have learned to just let you do your thing.
Just be on time and keep up in the airports. That's how I feel when I travel with Ben, because he calculates things down to like the 30 seconds. And so I remind him when we're in the lounge, like, I need a 4-minute warning before you want to leave, because it takes me a minute to get everything back in my bag. So I need a 4-minute warning, and then like the 15-second, now I'm ready to go, rather than, you're just up and like, come on, let's go. Like, I'm not doing that same math in my head as you are. I'm doing my own math. It just isn't compatible with yours.
Well, definitely next time I get to go on a trip with you, I will be bringing about half of what I normally bring. Because it is really different when you have, I don't know what that noise is. Some keep your laptops, your iPads, your phones, whatever. Some of them you have to take everything out, including your toothbrush. I mean, you just never know what you're going to have to do as you go through security. So I need to make sure that I take half of what I normally would take, so not have that panic every time you have to go through the security.
Yeah, it's pretty stressful.
Speaking of Pocatello, Tiffany.
Right. Right. It's you have too much stuff when the TSA agent calls you out on it and says, "Wow, you have a lot of stuff."
I learned to travel light.
How long have you lived in the U.S., Mom? Someone asked.
Oh, is that
altogether? Oh, what? I arrived in 1974.
So
1974.
years?
And I moved back to Germany in 1984, and I came back to America in 88. Right. I lived most of the time in New York. Sorry?
So a total of 42 years here.
Yeah.
It's a long time.
Yeah, but most of the time in New York, where you all went to the German school. You unfortunately only 1 year, but the other boys went longer. Yeah. Not unfortunately, I mean, your German is still good. I'm proud of you that you still speak the language.
Oh, good.
Okay, so this is perfect. Lauren is asking about any funny travel stories. Barbara, can you please tell us about going to the consulate in Frankfurt and getting passports?
Oh my goodness. I'm embarrassed talking about it because my son will never forget. He brings it up so often. Yeah, I was traveling a lot alone with the 3 boys to visit my parents and sisters. And I never looked. I know the German passport. My kids have both passports, the German passport and American passport. And the German passport had expired. But the American passport were good, but we had a special visum at the time, a V1 visum, and that had expired. So when I came to the airport and they found out, they said, I'm so sorry, we cannot let you go like this. You know, you need a new visum. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, what I'm going to do. You know, and she said, oh, we can book you for tomorrow. But I'm a little bit like Benjamin. If I have my mind set on something, you know, it has to be this way, or I try my utmost to get it done. So I said to him, I will try to come back. And they just looked at me. I think they felt sorry with the 3 boys, you know.
And so they were little, right?
They were little, yeah, very little. Benjamin was just a baby. Right. So I went outside and I got a cab, and it was a diesel cab. And I said to him, no, I want to get a different one. Diesel doesn't drive that fast. And he said to me, I will bring you there as soon as possible. Believe me, I'm as fast as all the other ones. So we went to the consulate, and when I arrived at the airport, it was 2 hours before my departure. So the time I arrived at the consulate, it was maybe an hour and 20 minutes, you know, no more than that for the departure. And I was thinking still, I'm going to make this flight. So instead of taking, now I sound like the worst mom in the world. That's what Benjamin tells me. So instead of taking all 3 kids out of the cab, you know, I left them with the cab driver. And I said, if he could watch them, that I'm going to pay for him, that I can run in fast and get what I needed to get. I mean, he was really nice, but what do I know? You know, you never. So I did leave the boys. I went upstairs and I was, you know, big line. I said, I have to go in front of the line. I'm sorry. You know, I have to catch a flight. It's leaving in whatever, an hour, a little more. So they did let me go in front. And I had to fill something out, but because my sons, I think it was Michael, my middle son, he didn't have, his visa was expired, you know. So I had to get him out of the car. I said, okay. I ran downstairs, picked him up, brought him back to the consulate. And I finally got a written letter, you know, to let me into America. And I was with my kids. I came to the airport. So the woman was just closing down, you know, in the front where you check in. Mm-hmm. And she said, oh my goodness, you will not make it. I said, I have to make it. I'm so sorry. And I said, where is the gate? And I was running with my kids. And I think I saw her going on the phone. And the co-pilot came with a bike, you know, He gave me the bike. He took my kids on his arms, you know, and we made the flight. But I was soaked. And there was this nice gentleman. I think it was Lufthansa, and they had 4 seats in the middle. And or was it 5 seats at the time? I think it was 5 seats. Maybe, could that be?
It could be, yeah. I mean, some places.
Yeah, because there was this nice younger gentleman. And he said to me, you look so exhausted. can I play with your kids? And I said, you can play at least 1 hour, please do that.
Play with the kids, keep the kids.
I
The
made
cab
it.
driver wouldn't take them. I tried.
I don't know if there's anything to be proud of, but I made it, Benjamin. You know, we are strong, right?
You're a very determined person, so that sums it up.
Yeah.
Any story on your end?
Mine?
Yes.
Oh, gosh. Well, when Tiffany was little, her dad and I had our own airplane. So, you know, that was kind of fun when she was just real little, teaching them how to always be like sucking on a bottle or something when we were, you know, landing so that her ears didn't blow up. But I can't think of... Oh, I do have a good story about Tiffany. Yes, I do. I'm sorry. I thought about that. We lived in Mountain Home, Idaho. So we had to fly into Boise. And we've been in Salt Lake visiting my mom. And Tiffany was a very brilliant child to where I just kind of thought she knew what was going on in the world all the time. Anyway, it's really my fault. She was just so excited about being on the plane, and I needed both of them to sleep. So that noise is anyway, I did the, you know, problem, whatever. I gave Tiffany a little bit of Benadryl, both Tiffany and her sister, who's 2 years younger than she is.
So how old was I in this story, Mom? Like 4, maybe 5?
You were probably, no, I think you were closer to maybe 3.5.
That's going to be a great story. Whenever it involves a toddler, you know it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
I'm going to get more coffee.
A little bit of Benadryl just to calm her down. And, you know, and she, of course, didn't go to sleep until about 15 minutes before we landed. Now, you have to remember that I had trained Tiffany, you know, the stranger danger thing, always, that if anybody ever picked her up, she didn't know the person, and if they didn't have the code word, which was the name of our dog, that she was just supposed to scream like a fire truck, just scream and scream and scream. So here she is out cold, and we land at the airport, and I can't pick up a sleeping baby in our bag and Tiffany. So the man sitting next to me said he would carry Tiffany. So, of course, he picks her up, and we're standing in the aisle of the plane. She wakes up, looks at him, and just does the whole fire engine. You're not, screaming as loud as she can. I'm standing right there next to her, like, it's okay. She goes, but he's not my dad. Oh, it was hilarious. But anyway, that was my favorite travel story with Tiffany.
That's funny.
That's good. I still have extreme stranger danger, so I think that stuck pretty well.
You don't take Benadryl on the planes anymore.
No, but the stranger danger thing for sure. So when you guys, Ben, when you and your mom are planning trips, how much, Barbara, do you say, oh, you know, honey, I'd like to do this, I'd like to do that, or do you just let Ben handle it and you just show up and see what you're doing when you get there?
No, usually I'm on the computer and I do research. Especially for Israel, I think I did the whole itinerary, right? I knew exactly every day where I was going, what we were going to see. New Zealand, yeah, I think I made a plan before we went to New Zealand, to which cities to see, which road are we going to take by car. Yeah, Bali I didn't. I think Bali we both went in. We didn't have too much idea, right?
Was that a full-on surprise trip, or was that, I'm trying to think, because that was your birthday. It was your round birthday. I'm trying to think, did you know we were going? Yeah, you did. But
no, I had no idea we go to the Amman hotels. That's where you told me, right?
So you knew we were going to Bali, but you didn't know where we were staying.
Right. I had no idea where we were staying. That was a surprise. Right.
Yeah, I forgot which way.
Yeah, but Israel was organized, right? New Zealand was pretty organized. Where else did we go? I don't know. We went to so many places.
It's tough to remember sometimes. There's been a lot
Abu
of
Dhabi. You remember Abu Dhabi and Qatar?
Yes.
Qatar, yeah.
I think
I read about it, but Benjamin has been to most of the places, so he knew what he was going to show me.
I think it depends on the type of destination, because in Israel she wanted to see some of the religious sites, and I was not as much into that, so I wanted to make sure she could see what she wanted to, and it was better for her to plan that, because I don't want to, be responsible for us not seeing the. And I have to give you credit. You chose a very, very good guide, which I was pleasantly surprised by. So that was.
Yeah, Aviator, good company.
Or Viator, right?
No, Aviator.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
I was going to book this Rome trip with him too, at the Vatican, but unfortunately with the Corona, it's not possible.
Yeah, we were supposed to go on a cruise in
end of the month.
Yes, so that did not happen. I don't know why a cruise from Italy to Spain is not happening at the moment, but apparently something's going on.
Yeah. I don't think you want to be on a cruise at the moment, baby.
Well, Ben never wants to be on a cruise. He just wants to go on cruises with you because he loves you and loves being with you. But if he was making his list of things he would like to do, cruises would.
Yeah, I understand. I was like this until a year ago. But for me, you see a lot, you can, if you have a harbor each day, you can get off and see something, then you can make the decision, okay, I love this part. I want to go back here.
Mom, you did that, right? You did a cruise in the Aegean and the Eastern Mediterranean?
Yeah.
They called it the Holy Land Tour. And yeah, it was beautiful. I really
Where did you cruise from?
Pardon me?
Where did you cruise from? I was in high school and I didn't go, but where did you cruise from?
We started. Oh, crap. Istanbul is where we started the cruise from. And then the cruise ended up in Athens, but we went all the way down. That was fantastic because we did get to go in Jerusalem and got to go play in the Dead Sea. And oh gosh, every port, they have a little ticket that you would fill out as to what their day trips were in all these different places, and you could sign up for them. And of course, they charged you extra to go on all these day tours. I was there with my husband, and he just chose a few that he wanted to go on, but I went on every single one in every single port. So I did not stay on the ship just gambling and doing whatever he did all day long. I was always out adventuring, but then I am again really interested in the whole architecture and the museums, and I love that. So I loved the cruise. It was a lot of fun. It was about 3 weeks, I think, total.
It's a long cruise.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really nice. But it was a nice.
From my perspective, not being on the cruise, I just felt like they were gone forever because my sisters were so obnoxious with, and I think my grandma or my aunt or something was staying with us. So it's not like we were unattended, but they just.
No, we hired a young couple from our church, and they stayed with you. And there was a little girl that they had, I think, too.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Also, someone asked earlier, because Mom, you went on an AIDA cruise last year.
Right.
What did you think of AIDA?
It's all in German. That's maybe a disadvantage.
You say it's all in German?
Everything is in German. The menu is in German. All the trips are in German. All the recommendations, the movies, there is no English on board.
But I read the staff are still, they don't really speak German because they're mostly Filipino,
yeah,
right?
The staff was okay. Yeah, a lot of Filipino people. So yeah, I think they were better in English than in German. Yeah, definitely.
I would hope so.
What did I think about it? I think it was good for me. I did it as a family. My sister and my niece and great nieces attended, so it was beautiful, and we saw a lot. Like Sweden, I want to go back. I've been once in Sweden more than 40, almost 50 years ago. And we stopped again, and I really enjoy what I saw. So, yeah, I mean, I liked it. We were only on the water for one whole day. Besides that, we were at the port every day. So it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Just it was cold. That's the only disadvantage. Well, you bring summer dresses or whatever, you could not wear one of them. Yeah, we had a jacket on nonstop. But it's
That's
okay.
the challenge when you travel in May, is sometimes it's hot and nice and lovely, and other times it's, where is my parka?
Yeah, but this was the end of June. That was the end of June. So
Oh,
you
that's just
expect
rude. It should be warm in June.
Yeah, it should be warm. Right. Right.
If you want warm, you just go to Vietnam. That's fine.
Yeah. Well,
Right, but as we went north in Vietnam, there were days where it was colder.
True. The humidity, you have to realize here in Arizona, I think there is no humidity at all. It's a dry heat, as they say. So I don't complain about the heat here anymore because I very much enjoyed the full 900% humidity.
It was terrible. We were there, in February, which can be a good time to go to Vietnam. It's a long, skinny country, so it really depends where you go. And we'd been told that it'd be hot in the south, enough to where we could go to the pool and the beach, but that as we went north, we were going to need jackets and sweaters and pants because it was going to be damp and cold, maybe even like Portland or Seattle. And that ended up not being true. It was a heat wave. It was so hot. It was 100 degrees every day.
Even up north.
Even up north. Yeah, it was too hot to think most days.
You just had to pull your hair back and no makeup and nothing because, my glasses kept sliding off my face. But it was beautiful. It was just beautiful. I was telling a friend all about that trip last night. It was just beautiful.
And you liked Laos.
I loved Laos. I really, really did. And we all have these beautiful paintings of the monks because that was a really wonderful experience that we had. And I throw that out there if anyone does get to go to Laos. And I know Tiffany mentioned it in her blog that the first day that we got up, first morning we got up to watch the monks on their morning trek, I guess, to gather their food. There was some tour guides there that had lights set up and flash cameras, and it was very disrespectful to the monks. And so the next morning, we realized that one of the monasteries was about, 50 feet away from our hotel, which is a fantastic hotel. Mm-hmm. And we just sat on the curb at about 4:30 in the morning. It was dark, and we watched the villagers, townspeople. They would come up very slowly with maybe a little chair, and they would very quietly converse amongst themselves. And then when the monks did come through to collect their food for the day, it was a beautiful experience, and it was very quiet and reverent and spiritual and everything that it was supposed to be. And I would recommend that to anyone, to get that experience instead of how disrespectful your state is.
It was a little chaotic there on the main street.
It was beautiful, and I did make friends with the lady that we stayed with in Hoi An at our little bed and breakfast. She and I send pictures back and forth. We were there during Chinese New Year, and it was so incredibly crowded. And she sent me a photo of the streets that are just completely empty. So it's a difference. And then,
right, because when we were there, so was, I think, maybe all of South Korea.
Yeah.
There were hundreds of thousands of people.
And yeah, it was fun. It was a fun experience. And then her husband's quite the gardener, so we're sending photos back and forth of our flowers. So that's kind of fun to have a friend way over there.
Nice.
Fun.
That is fun. So I think we're good. Covered a lot. Any other like fun questions for moms or for us? Ben, you haven't answered the daily Virgin Atlantic question. If you want to get that out of the way.
We can save that for next Thursday or for Thursday again, and we'll see by then if they've been bailed out. So, what exactly that situation will look like. That's. But this has been so fun, and it's Mother's Day, so we don't want to waste too much of your time. But thank you for joining us. This has been very fun, and
Thank you for having us.
hopefully we'll be taking fun trips again soon.
Yes.
I'm sure we will.
Oh,
Yeah.
Hope everybody has a
Looking
great
forward to that.
Mother's Day to the mothers out there and to the people who have mothers, that you enjoy your time with them. And I wish we were all in person, but this whole situation right now, hopefully soon. So
thank you guys. Hope everybody enjoys the rest of their weekend.